Hello, all you beautiful people in Webtown, and welcome back to Rob Liefeld Appreciation Week right here on Crypto Comics. Like we always do about this time. Y'all remember this. This is Supreme #1. It's Volume 2. It was just a gag, just a fun little gag that Rob liked to do. He should do a Supreme Volume 1, though, just to do it, you know? Because, I would buy copies, and I know a few of you Crypto Knights out there would also buy copies. We've already reviewed this here on Crypto Comics, so if you have not been paying attention, if you are not a Crypto Knight, you are a newcomer, you might want to go back into the playlists and find this awesome comic where Supreme had to fight Youngblood. What? Yeah, like he says, he is Supreme. I am Supreme. Or is he? We're going to find out because, see, after we did that, then we went to Supreme issue number 25. This was part of the Images of Tomorrow. Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee put this idea together to release 4 issue 25s for 4 different titles, like a year and a half before they were going to reach issue 25. And it was Stormwatch, Supreme, Brigade, and Blood Pool. No. And Blood Strike. So we went through this one also. And he fights Simple Simon in this one. A lot of words. There were a lot of words in this one. Because Kurt Hathaway really wanted to write a lot of words. Because he likes to letter them. I guess. I don't know. I made that up. And, there's Thor's hammer is in this. There's a lot going on in Supreme that I don't know anything about because I never read Supreme. But I got curious because I was at the comic shop. And I saw this guy available, Supreme 26. And so I was just curious, like, how did it turn out? Did it work? And I'll be darned, like, this completely ends a storyline, and this begins something entirely new, written by Gary Carlson. There can be only one possible explanation for what has transpired here today. Supreme is alive. Mr. Cortex, please excuse this humble interruption. Ah, Mr. Nakamura, thank you for coming so quickly. I'm entirely at your disposal, Dexter-san. Please allow me to update you on our situation. A crew has been dispatched to retrieve the remains of the Zero Squadron. Excellent. There is a fortune tied up in that armor. Run stress tests on whatever survived. Yes, sir. Structural repairs have begun on this building, as well as the others that were damaged in the attack. So there's been some sort of an attack. I don't know when and where, but we got a new Supreme. He's not the old Supreme. He's a new Supreme. Who am I? The face that stares back at me is a total stranger. Who is it? I woke up barely an hour ago here in Tokyo with no idea of who I am or how I got here. In that time, I've been attacked by nearly everyone I've met. Most of them are now either dead or seriously injured because of me. The only clue I have about my identity is that an old man insisted that I was someone named Supreme, who is universally hated in Japan. He apparently led the bombers here during World War II. There are 2 problems with the Supreme scenario. Number 1, Supreme is dead. He was killed a week ago in America, as seen in Supreme number 23. I wonder what happened in number 24. And then 25. Number 2, I don't look anything like the Supreme guy, but I do have amazing powers like his. Deadly powers that I don't know how to control. If only these people would leave me alone. Maybe I could figure this out. Crash! Here we go again! Baby killer! Get out of Japan, murderer! Translated from the Japanese. Go away! I'm warning you, don't make me hurt you. I told you before, I'm not who you think I am. This is all a big mistake. Whack! I warned you. What? That noise? Somebody is screaming bloody murder. It's a child! She must have fallen from one of the buildings. Oh no, I'm the only one who could save her. Catches the... Oh, turns out it's a robot baby, and it blows up. And so basically, Homeboy has no clue who he is. And this is actually really interesting. And then he, of course is captured and... No, not again! Fascinating. Who would have expected a near-death experience in one who considers himself a god? Or is it merely your subconscious mind at work? What's going on? And who in blazes are you? I am Dexter Cortex. I want to help you, Supreme. That device is a memory probe. What did you find out? Tell me. You dreamed that same dream 5 times. Beyond that, your memories began with waking up on the Tokyo streets below, where you destroyed my Zero Squadron. Your Zero? Why were those maniacs trying to kill me? You made a rather dramatic entrance to this city, damaging at least 7 buildings and leveling a city block. Frankly, we thought you were attacking. After all, Supreme has invaded Japan before. Why does everyone assume that I am the Supreme? I told you that he was dead. His body was never recovered. And who else? Japan does have a certain paranoia where Supreme is concerned. As for me, I'm an American. I own this company, Cortec, which runs Japan's national defense. I'd like to help you discover the truth. What do you know about Supreme? Almost nothing. Perhaps viewing Supreme's biography will jog some memories? Perhaps. This is just a lot of exclamation points. These people just scream at each other through this whole thing. And so then you get like an entire rundown of Supreme and his life, his fight with Crypt. If you missed all that, you're basically going to have to go back into the playlist here at Crypto Comics, and this will all be revealed to you. In time, my young sons. If that truly was my previous life, then I'm almost glad that I don't remember it. It seems so empty. Did he really consider himself a god? You heard it from his own lips. Certainly he considered himself to be a higher life form, or possibly the next step up the evolutionary ladder. I see. Can you put me in touch with any of my friends? Sure. Here's the address for Kid Supreme. Oh, he goes to... Oh. Dexter-san, I have completed the comparative analysis. Excellent, Yoshi. Using the samples we took while he was unconscious, I've cross-checked his fingerprints, retina scan, DNA matrix, and dental records against Supreme's records. All matchups were negative. All of them? Yes, sir. This proves conclusively that he is not Supreme. On the contrary, Yoshi, I believe that this proves our friend is indeed Supreme. In fact, I'd have been skeptical if he had appeared to be Supreme. You see, I've discovered the truth about Supreme in a computer file by a reporter named Maxine Winslow. Bum, bum, bum! I can see that I'm leaving things in capable hands, Yoshi Nakamura. You honor me, Mr. Cortex. Must you be on your way so soon? Yes, I must leave immediately. I was in the middle of an important experiment in New York when the kimchi hit the fan here in Tokyo. Now, I must return to my research. Dial my New York office for me, will you, Mr. Nakamura? I'll just fax myself over. Sayonara, Dexter-san. Providence, Rhode Island. Darkthorn is reborn. I guess, son of Darkthorn. Whatever that means. And he has no memories. And then he gets in a fight with Kid Supreme. Are you really Kid Supreme? You heard correctly. That's me, the tenderfoot superhero. I've come all the way to... There's an error in the bubble. This bubble should be going to him. This bubble should be him. I've come all the way from Japan to talk with you. And I followed you here from Los Angeles. It's a pleasure to meet you, Charles. Charles, you got it wrong, pal. My name's Danny. But I was told... Excuse me, gentlemen. But I believe I can clear up this mystery for you fellows. You see, my name is Charles. Charles Flanders. And I'm the real Kid Supreme. Next, too many kids. Okay, so. Oh, hello, Nicole. How are you? Yeah. Comic Girls. That's where that all started, right here. All started right here thanks to Image Comics. How about that? Okay, so, but what are we actually here for? My goodness, I've been talking for 11 minutes. Boom. Supreme number 0. I didn't know this existed. And it takes place after Supreme 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. And so this is what we are going to do today, right here on Crypto Comics, as part of Rob Liefeld Appreciation Week. You see the Liefeld there. So I've never seen this for sale anywhere before. Didn't know it existed. And I'm curious to find out what it's all about. I mean, granted, I already know because I read it before. But that way I knew I wasn't wasting your time, right? This is written by Eric Stevenson, pencils by Todd Knock, one of my favorites. Somewhere in Arizona. What did you say your name was again? Simon. Jack Simon. Where are you taking me? For lack of a better word, kid, home. This is where you wanted to go, isn't it? This place, it looks deserted. Very astute. It is, for the most part. Hang on. This should only take a second. Click, clack. Awfully quiet back there. You ready for this? I've come this far. I'll take that as a yes. How's that old saying go? Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Well, that doesn't apply here. This place is a wellspring of knowledge, my friend. The questions you ask about yourself are not unique. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? These are things everybody yearns to know. But this place, only for you does this place hold the answers you seek. I don't know what to say. I feel as though this should all mean something to me, but it doesn't. Instant gratification. That's all anybody wants nowadays. Come on, follow me, and I'll elaborate on what significance this musty old nut hut bears on the life of Supreme. The weight. Here, let me see if the lights still work. Then we can begin. Yes, I'd just as soon we get this over with and get out of here. This place makes me strangely uncomfortable, as well it should. But I'll get to that in due time. Right now, I want to explain why Jack Simon, hotshot journalist turned comic book writer, came to know so much about this place, and the myth we've all come to know as Supreme. Myth? I didn't come here to listen to myths and legends, Mr. Simon. I know, you came here to find yourself. And before you can do that, you're going to have to swallow a couple of bitter pills. First and foremost, like I told you when we first met, you're not Supreme. We wouldn't be in this room alone right now if that were the case. Secondly, everything you know about the man you think you are is wrong. Now, can I get on with this? Face. As I was saying, if you want answers, the first thing you need to understand is the myth we've come to know as Supreme. I was hired to perpetuate that myth when I began chronicling Supreme's life in the early part of 1944. World War II was in full swing, and we desperately needed heroes. Supreme looked fit to play the part, despite the fact that he was, by most accounts, more monster than role model. Practically nobody knew the truth about Supreme's moral indiscretions on the battlefield, though. That's how I landed my job. The Smithsonian wanted to document Supreme's involvement in the war. But they didn't want facts, though. They wanted a sanitized version of Supreme's exploits. I was a young journalist looking to make a name for myself, so I didn't ask any questions. I just kept my mouth shut and did my best to learn everything I could about Supreme. I was completely enthralled by him. We all were. And even though I witnessed many of the senseless atrocities he committed in the name of freedom firsthand, killing Nazis ain't no atrocity. I just couldn't get enough of him. Still can't. But if you were there, then you must know what a monster I am. The things I did to end the war. All part of the myth, kid. Supreme was a cold-blooded murderer, a real butcher. But he didn't end the war. Unfortunately, some of the sicker minds in Washington decided to pin it on him when the morality of dropping the first atomic bombs was first questioned. Men dropped the bombs on Japan, not a Superman. Then what is true and what isn't? Let's find out, shall we? What indeed? I found myself asking similar questions the deeper I delved into Supreme's background. The war had ended and Supreme had left Earth by this time, but I was hungry to learn more. And what I learned was that for every truth there was a lie, at least where Supreme was concerned anyway. I dredged up a lot of stories about how Supreme actually came to be. Some reasonable, some not as much so. But this much I know is fact. A convict by the name of Ethan Crane was released into the custody of the United States government to take part in an ongoing experiment in cellular reconfiguration. The tests were being conducted by as brilliant a scientist as there ever was, Dr. Horatio Garnett Wells. So brilliant, in fact, that he knew when he had taken the experiment too far. Wells realized early on that he was tampering with forces he couldn't control. He issued a report to the Pentagon, stating as much, and asked for permission to shut the project down. Their response was a resounding no. And that's when something happened to Crane that nobody, not even Wells, expected. He changed. What's more, he didn't just change once, but 7 times. until he bore no semblance at all to the man he was. Finally, he disappeared from the lab altogether. Wells was stunned. Not long thereafter, he resigned from his post and moved to Germany, where he continued his work in solitude. He died in the early days of the war, I'm told. But readers of Prophet know better. Bum, bum, bum. We are going to get into Prophet even more here on Crypto Comics. We've already done the first issue. You can check it out in the playlist. Go check out the back issue bins here at Crypto Comics, and you'll find that first issue of Prophet. But we got more to do. Boom, a lot more. What happened next is the subject of some confusion. A lot of it propagated by Supreme himself. When Ethan Crane finally did reappear, though, it was on the killing fields of Europe in World War II. Wells was dead by then, and the experiment that spawned Supreme a distant memory. But the government was intrigued by Supreme nonetheless. He was, for all intents and purposes, a god. He could do anything, and what's worse, he knew it. Thankfully, he was doing it on our side. I know all this. Everything you're telling me. I've heard it all 100 times over. You're only giving it a different slant. Is that what the truth is to you? A different slant? You're telling me my life is a lie. If you insist in believing it's your life, then yeah, it is. And you don't need me to tell you that. Continue. What happened next is pretty well documented. When Supreme felt he'd done all he had to do, he left. Earth was too small for Supreme, too confining, and something, I'm not altogether certain what, drove that home to the point he couldn't stand it here anymore. His legacy, however, endured. There have been other superpowered heroes during the war. Glory, Super Patriot, Mighty Man, Die Hard, Roman. Glory, Super Patriot, Mighty Man, Die Hard, Roman. But before long, there were costumed heroes all over the place. A lot of them created by the government. For me, it was great. After the war, I'd found myself writing comic books, and the stories were literally unfolding before my very eyes. All of them except the stories about Supreme. Despite his absence, people remained in awe of him, so we did our best to satisfy their hunger for information about him with a monthly comic. It was my overvivid imagination, however, that gave me the idea of contacting the government about Supreme's origins. Thank heaven for my stint with the Smithsonian. It took every connection I had to weasel information out of the feds about Supreme, but what I learned as a result was invaluable. In addition to the basic information about Wells's experiment, I discovered that Supreme hadn't escaped from the project at all. He was stolen. You see, Wells' request to shut his project down wasn't quickly forgotten. The government wanted a return on their investment, after all, so they nabbed Crane and moved him to a testing ground in Arizona. It was there, or here rather, that he was developed into the fighting machine he emerged as during World War II. More interesting still was the fact that Supreme was connected to a vast computer monitoring system hidden beneath the earth. Every step Supreme took was noted and analyzed by this ingenious machine. Its ultimate aim? To recreate him. Whoa. After all, the best was yet to come. Some 50 years after he'd left, Supreme one day decided that it was time to return home. As he entered Earth's orbit, he was confronted by Youngblood and escorted to Earth for testing. Conclusive evidence was provided that he was, in fact, Supreme. But it's what happened next that was so interesting. Supreme became embroiled in a number of conflicts, with everyone from his old foe Zachariah Grislock, to the alien usurper known as Chrome, to a being commonly believed to be the Norse god of thunder, Thor. It was a strange time for Supreme Watchers like myself, because he seemed to lack the single-minded sense of purpose he personified during World War II. I found myself questioning whether or not this actually was the real Supreme. When I saw news footage of a battle between Supreme and a hooded terrormonger who called himself Crypt, I was convinced this had to be an imposter. All eyewitness accounts stated Supreme had been badly beaten by Crypt, perhaps even killed, but no body was ever found. Real Supreme or no, it seemed his name was synonymous with mystery. I don't know why Spawn's just sitting here, but he's there. So, am I one of these recreations? No. That'd be interesting if it were the case, though, huh? I did a story like that once, too. The kids loved it. The truth lies elsewhere, though. The computer eventually lost track of Supreme, see? No one ever expected him to take off and explore the universe. Wait a minute. Why should I believe any of this? You're a comic book writer. How do I know you're not making it all up? Good question. The first intelligent one you've asked yet, I might add. And the answer to which should be clear after the next part of my story. You see, the stories I'd written incorporating this information got me into a bit of trouble. As I saw it, everything might as well have been fictional. Nobody would verify it on the record, but the feds came down on me hard. The files I'd been given were confiscated, as were copies of the comics in question. Ironically, that only strengthened my resolve to get to the bottom of the whole quagmire of Supreme's history. I'm glad I didn't give up, too. And then you appeared. I'd nearly given up hope on ever solving this whole crazy puzzle, but something told me that if I could track you down and talk to you, it would at least prove you weren't the Supreme I knew. And it did. There's a document floating around on the internet, The Gospel According to Ethan Crane. The byline is attributed to a woman by the name of Maxine Winslow. I know that name. A friend of mine, Charles Flanders, spoke to me about her recently. I think he read the document you speak of. But from what little he told me about its contents, it painted me, Supreme, as some form of religious zealot. Among other things, Crane did have a spiritual bent. You see, kid, the conclusion I've come to is that not only are you not Supreme, but this Winslow woman might as well have been writing about Elvis. The real Supreme may not even exist.
What?
You've lost me. Everything you're telling me is so confusing. When you first approached me in Washington, you told me you had the answers I was seeking. Then you told me I wasn't Supreme. And now you're saying Supreme doesn't exist? Right. I said he doesn't exist, not that he didn't exist. What I'm trying to tell you is that Supreme never returned from his journey into space. Or maybe he did, and now he's gone again. One thing's for sure, though. Supreme's life doesn't read right. It's too inconsistent, too muddled. And that's completely at odds with what Supreme, to my mind, was all about. It's almost like the Supreme that returned to Earth wasn't traveling alone, but as multiple incarnations of himself. What I do understand, though, is I've had enough of this. What? You promised answers, Simon, but all you've done is waste my time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're making a mistake, kid. When I tracked you down in the Capitol, I asked you if you were Supreme. You told me you weren't sure who you were or what you were. I said I could give you the answers you needed to figure that out, and I kept my word. Come on back outside with me and I'll elaborate. You said when we first got here that this place made you uncomfortable. If you think about it, though, why would Supreme ever want to come back here? It's simple. He wouldn't. Supreme had no doubts about who he was. He was Supreme. That was that. My point being, you wouldn't have come here unless you definitely weren't Supreme. So you keep saying. But is that all? Is the answer that I'm not Supreme? In a nutshell, yes. You see, the real Supreme is out there. In your heart of hearts, you know that. The questions that remain, though, are where and what happened to him. Huh. Is he in some kind of self-imposed exile? Or has he finally fallen prey to a power so superior to him in its malevolence that he could not escape its grasp? And though it is couched in a question, that is your answer. Where that answer leads you is for you and you alone to discover. Only then will you find the peace of mind you so desperately crave. To be continued in Supreme number 32. So there you go. This one was tricky to find. I got very lucky. I searched 8 comic shops and eventually stumbled across this bad boy. And yeah, I thought it was very interesting, and it actually made me interested in Supreme, which I didn't think was possible. I've heard a lot about Alan Moore's writing on Supreme as being probably the best run of all. I don't know if that's true. We'll find out maybe in the future if I can ever track those down. They're very elusive, just like this was elusive. But they're not only elusive, they're elusive and expensive, which this really wasn't, just elusive. And now we got it. And now we've checked it out. Beautiful cover by Stephen Platt and Rob Liefeld. And it was a pleasure to go through it with you here on Crypto Comics for Rob Liefeld Appreciation Week.